Welcome back, everybody, to WCS America Group H action. In Korea, we already know who our final 8 players are going to be for the GSL. In Europe, we know which 16 players will participate on the 4th and 5th of April for the European round of 16. And after today, we know our 16 players for WCS America as well. 14 of them are known. After this series, we know 15 of them. Is it going to be MacSed for the 3rd time in a row to WCS America, at least round of 16, which would be very impressive, because he didn't even fail once. It would just be 3 for 3, because he didn't play back then in Season 1. Or is it going to be puCK for the first time in his career? Either way, it should be a really fun PvP. I feel there's been a PvP overload in my brain after just 2 hours before the show, sitting upstairs. Didn't have that much to do, so I went through every single game that was played yesterday at the GSL.
Some of them those were some pretty crazy games. Definitely worth checking out.
Some ridiculous micro tricks as well that I've just never seen. Like, as long as I've been playing StarCraft, I've never seen some of the movements and also some of the decision making. But that's something different. But I guess that's not really a spoiler. But for some reason, today I learned that like Phoenixes can be scripted or something, because that was just unhuman.
There's some next level play available that has been recently discovered, and might be necessary for puCK in this match. MacSed played an incredibly solid first series tonight. But puCK, you said it, Roddy. He has not made it to the round of 16 for WCS America. This would be his opportunity to do that. And also, of course, you know, get that ticket booked here to Cologne. Yeah, beautiful city.
It is a very beautiful city. I'm sure that puCK would have a lot of fun over here. But this is such a fun match as well, because they have so much history within each other. First thing that puCK said as soon as he joins the game lobby is like, MacSed, I'm here for revenge. Because, of course, once upon a time, once more, guys, if you just tuned in, puCK defeated MacSed 2-1 in WCS, but that was the first match of the day. Then later on in the deciding series, they went up each other again, and back then, MacSed was able to win 2-1. I am pretty sure that both of their PvPs has evolved a lot ever since. I felt they were doing a lot of stuff right back then, but if you look back at it, it was a little too passive, a little too much. You know, I go double robo, you go double robo. Now we max out and we never even think about tempers. You know, I feel these days PvP has been just played on a much higher level.
Yeah, it seems it's reached a level of like explosive, action-packed gameplay throughout the mid-game stage that it doesn't normally. I mean, I can't honestly remember the last time I saw it go to that stage where you had Colossi being shot at by Tempest. Usually comes down to much earlier aggression from what I've seen. Yeah,
there is definitely a lot of early game crazy builds that are stronger than ever, especially just the straight up 3 gates or the 1 gate Twilight 3 gate. Some people just go crazy. They drop a 4th gate. That's not very popular, but you know, these days just anything is possible. DTs are a very viable option. 1 gate fast expand is viable. Phoenix is viable. Oracles are viable. You can just go 1 gate robo. It's all fine. There are just so many things you can do. But yes, if it stabilizes, Tempests are super good. Like, this is no other way to put it. They're super freaking good. And like back then, I felt like neither player was thinking about even building Tempest. I am sure if it gets to a phase in the game like that, especially with our first map being Alterzim Stronghold, there is a realistic shot that we might see some Tempest this game.
Yeah, if there's any map that a game can go long on in a PvP, it's Alterzim Stronghold. And I kind of wonder how this will influence the builds from our players. You know, I always feel that opening up Stargate, when it's such a big map, it's a very difficult map to scout on. If you decide to hide tech on this map, the odds of it being seen in the early game are quite slim. So it's one thing you always have to look out for.
Yeah, it's risky as well, though, to go Phoenix on this map, because if you go Phoenix and your opponent goes Phoenix, but he had a quicker Stargate, then you're already kind of digging your own grave. As soon as we can jump into game, or we can jump into game right now, then we can talk a little bit more about that. As soon as you have introduced both of our players, Nathanias, it's all on you.
All right, well, we are here on Alterzim Stronghold. Our first player for this winner's match at WCS America is the red Protoss player from Team IVD Gaming, coming off a win against Select. It is puCK. Looking for revenge against MacSed from WCS America 2013. And here is our Chinese Protoss player, the blue Protoss from Team Invictus Gaming, MacSed.
Wow, puCK's intro was much longer than Nathanias. Are you biased over here?
I know. As I say, I have a much longer history with puCK. I know a little bit more about him.
All right. What I wanted to say in regards, it is a tank gate, and this is exactly what I meant. And actually, well, I was going here with my point. Trust me, guys, I'm not making this up. So if you want to play a Phoenix, there are multiple moments to drop your Stargate. You can do it super greedy. You can drop the Stargate before you have any single gateway unit, which is basically only very good if you're just damn sure that your opponent is going one gate Stargate as well, but is playing it a little safer, you know, maybe a Zealot Sentry Mothership Core, or at least Sentry Mothership Core, something like that. If you're just going crazy and you drop a Stargate before any of your other units, you will always have a Phoenix advantage because the Stargate is a lot quicker, and you basically 9 out of 10 times, I would say, or maybe even more than that, it is possible, like, you know, 99 out of 100. You should win. Like with that build against the other build, you're just gonna have more Phoenixes. The other person's target is absolutely useless. You create a big lead for yourself. However, that kind of a build is extremely weak or extremely susceptible against crazy gateway pressure, which is not very good at this map at all, especially not against a straight up one gate fast expand or something like that. But if someone is that greedy with this, they're trying to cut corners, you can just straight up 2 or 3 gate them and they will die.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's definitely nice for puCK is this very fast, both players scouting each other very fast this map, but I feel like it's more important for puCK since he knows, okay, your cybernetics core is done, mine's just about halfway, and puCK begins to build a second gateway, but puCK has to recognize, just look how much Chrono Boost energy is available on MacSed's Nexus. He's going purely into that Warp Gate tech. This could be one of those very fast 3-gate builds that you were saying.
It could even be a 4-gate since he's only still on a single gas as well. But the fact that puCK scouts this changes everything. Like, I don't know what puCK's plan was normally, but he scouted in the right direction immediately, and this helps so much. Like, if he had any devious plans, he will definitely think twice before, you know, dropping tech, before getting a single unit out there. Is he aware of this probe hiding in the back of his natural, though?
Yeah, this is a pretty well-placed Ninja Probe. The gateways begin for MacSed, adding on 2 of them, and puCK has got a stalker out. He's looking for anything hidden in his base, and I think he's going to find this this Ninja Probe. So that's a big win for him. puCK with the Sentry on the way will be able to force field out potentially the first wave of units from MacSed, and with the second gateway,
yeah, he actually should be more than fine. This was really risky by MacSed to hide that probe in the back of the base. It's one of those, you know, absolute hit or miss scenarios. Either it's going to be unscouted and then you're going to indeed have a very good time. But right now he doesn't even have a probe on his side of the map. So what are you going to do? These 3 gates will be absolutely useless. He neglected probes for a little bit, but puCK was kind of worried about this crazy aggression. The good thing for MacSed is that puCK is perhaps overreacting to this a little bit. So this has not been the end of the world, but I would not feel that comfortable if I was MacSed.
Yeah, and he's actually placing a Stargate now. He's finished up his second gas. So what would you feel is the best direction to go from this? I feel like this is one of those situations where with the Phoenixes, because I don't think an Oracle could do too much with the production that puCK has.
Wow, puCK lets it finish. He's still expecting this aggression, which I'm very surprised by. I did not expect him to let him finish. This means that he's going to have to kill one of these pylons. I would have definitely just cancelled either of the pylon or the gateway, because you can just always force field. There's no way you're going to lose a 3 or 4 gate aggression with 3 sentries. This hallucinated Phoenix is going to see the Stargate though, and I'm not sure then. Like, I do not think that this Stargate is going to be super effective, because it's so easy for puCK to scout. MacSed knew that puCK had sentries, so I don't know. I've mixed feelings about the Stargate. I think the best thing to do right now for both players is just expand and macro up. I don't think there's any hidden timing right now, because the start is, you know, it's a little off. It's not your regular PvP on Alterzim.
Yeah, and the nice thing for puCK is that he not only sees the natural, but he sees the Oracle that comes out of this Stargate. So he knows that, well, I guess he knows that he needs to be prepared for this. And like I was saying, he has a Stalker, he has a couple of Sentries. Worst comes to absolute worst, he has a Mothership Core for Photon Overcharge, and he's just going to immediately bring out Stalkers. The one thing with this robotics facility, though, is the tech paths we're going to see start to emerge from this. And this Oracle shows up. I really don't feel like this can do much damage.
No, it shouldn't be able to do any damage at all. You know, Photon Overcharge could go down if he really commits, if he wants to focus on these probes. But puCK will think twice before using Photon Overcharge. He's just going to take his time. MacSed is going to follow this up with Phoenixes. Actually, Oracle sneaks in and gets, well, 1 probe kill. One is better than none, I guess. The Phoenixes, however, as follow-up, should be able to pick off a few probes because of this opening by puCK. It is not going to slow him down as much as it would be like in a 1-base scenario, but those Phoenixes should still be able to pay for themselves and pick up 3, 4, 5 probes here and there, and above all, get an excellent scout on.
Yeah, puCK's managed to get his natural setup. Likewise, MacSed. And one of the things I always like about the Oracle Phoenix play is it just gives you endless opportunities if you have the attention while macroing back home to just constantly harass. puCK is kind of forced into this defensive posture, although he does have the Observer moving out to get some scouting information. We do have a robotics facility on the way for MacSed, so you kind of mentioned previously that when these players have matched before, there was a bit of Colossus-based play, and it seems like with both players having the robotics facilities, that could be possible again.
Of course, you do want to get observers out as well, because you never know in PvP. It could always be Dark Templars, and you know, maybe even eventually Warp Prison as well. So getting a robot is pretty much a given. We do see the robot bay being wiped in for puCK already, but I just feel that like Alterzim is too big to hit some sort of a 2-base timing, and maybe this is why, like, the more I think about it, I actually don't mind that Stargate that much. Because having the Stargate also allows you... Is this observer going to see these Phoenixes, by the way? Having this... Well, he doesn't see it. That's so good right now, because puCK thinks like, you know, that Oracle, that was everything. But these 4 Phoenixes are actually going to be pretty annoying. He does leave a few units behind. What I try to say is, like, it could be Colossus against Colossus, but it's so much easier for MacSed to squeeze out that first Tempest, and having just 1 or 2 Tempests already changes so much in a Colossus war.
And the Oracle tries to move into the main base. It does see the second robotics facility started by puCK, so this is a pretty big commitment towards that robo-tech. And at the same time here, the Phoenix on the left side tries to pull these units out of position. A couple of them step over. Only gets a single probe.
Yeah, but the good thing is, like, he's going to force out 1 or 2 more cannons, and even with those cannons, later on these Phoenixes will still squeeze in. They will still get their probe kills. They have great map presence right now for MacSed, while puCK, on the other hand, you know, he's relying on that single observer who does see stuff, but does puCK really think that he can march across the map with double robo? I can't believe it. They're both playing double robo. I mean, like, oh no, he changed his mind, right?
Yeah, he had it queued up and he stepped away.
Okay, because I was like, you know, we just discussed this. You guys did this 7 months ago. And even though it's still like, you'll still see it every now and then. Even last night, 2 of the absolute best Protoss players in the world play double robo. But that's on a much, much smaller map. I feel on a map as large as this, especially with 1 player having the Stargate up already. If I would be MacSed and I see this double robo, I'll just be like, ship it! Drop that fleet beacon! Chrono boost out some Tempest, yo!
Yeah, it's certainly one of the vulnerabilities of that style, since he already has... Well, I mean, at least MacSed already has this Stargate, but he's starting the 3rd base. The Observer does see this immediately. Cannon's taking some pot shots at those Phoenix, and puCK has broken out of his main base. So it looks like it's going to turn into a 3rd base versus 3rd base. Both of these players, we're getting the just the peaceful game so far. Aside from this Phoenix harass, no big pushes by either player yet.
MacSed slightly miscontrolling his Phoenixes there. It's just so hard. He's even dropping a Nexus over here in the right bottom side of the map. Why not? Often, you know, at a certain point, you just realize this PvP has gone to the state in the game where you're not going to be able to attack anymore, you know? And now, yeah, I see you pointing it out, Nathan. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's getting that fleet beacon, Roddy. We may very well see those Tempests come out, as you mentioned, toppling those Colossi. There is the Templar Archives on the way for puCK. But what can he really do with these Colossi? Is there a window that he can hit before these Tempests come out in great numbers?
It's small, man. It's like the type of window that you have to crawl through at night, something through your door, where your cat can squeeze through, but you can't. Maybe if puCK somehow is able to squeeze through a door window like that, then he's going to be able to hit, but it's extremely tough. Yes, he will have a stronger army on the ground for a little while. But even if it's just 2 Tempests, then MacSed can just like sit back all the way over here. He can drop a Time Warp, he can drop a Photon Overcharge, 1 or 2 Tempests, and you know, the good thing about Tempest is that they build so extremely quickly. It's not a carrier. Like a Tempest only takes 60 seconds, a carrier takes 120 seconds. That's why a Tempest is actually a lot less of a troll unit than the carrier is. Like the carrier is a lot more expensive, it takes twice as long, and it's worse.
Yeah, those Tempests will present a very big threat. The Observer's still traipsing around, though, and it does see this in production as the Oracle throws that revelation onto those, well, the puCK's entire army. So puCK knows that there are Tempests on the map. He sees the very first one, and he also gets to see the Templar Archive sighting in the main base of MacSed as well. And I'm really wondering if he's going to try to match him in Tempests, or if he has some other plan. Maybe he will try to find the cat door to slink through.
Well, I think he's going to go for the cat door because he draws 4 more gates. He's going to wipe in a bunch of High Templars. He's marching across the map right now as well. Now, this is that super small window that he has, but look at the supply. Of course, he's going to be able to wipe in a crazy amount. He's going to snipe the Mothership Core. Oh, that's so sick. Well done here, MacSed. Picks up that Mothership Core of puCK. Well, that cat window, it just shrank. Right now, it's like a red window, you know, or it's like a little tunnel below the door.
Yeah, I actually just realized that despite puCK's double robotics facility opening, he is actually down on Colossi as well. Maybe just hoping that this Archon account, this powerful gateway force, can get him some other type of edge. I feel like if he can kill the 3rd base and get out, that'd be nice, but there's still that 4th that's mining gas for MacSed on the east side of the map, so this still won't be easy for puCK, and I guess he can hear our thoughts. He's placed a 4th Nexus of his own, and he's not moving forward just yet.
Yeah, I have no faith in this attack from puCK. As you said, absolute best case scenario, he might kill this 3rd base, but I don't see that happen against the Mothership Core with a Photon Overcharge. These Tempers, like 3 Tempers is enough to 2-shot a Colossus. So as long as MacSed focuses on the right units, puCK, you're playing a very dangerous game over here. 1 time warp and you're going to be absolute toast.
Yeah, there's the Photon Overcharge. The Tempest take their first shot, so you can see how fast that Colossi dies. He does try to leave the Zealots and Archons to kill the Nexus. He will get it, but at the cost of what would seem to be all of his Colossi. Zealots coming in to reinforce. The Colossi are on the left side dealing with some of those other Zealots, and puCK has traded, well, I guess this is about as bad as it could have gone. He did not fit through that window, Roddy.
No, man, that window kept getting smaller, while puCK kept getting bigger. You know, puCK, well, you know, what is there to say?
Yeah, he just got stuck, and here comes the counter push of doom, it would seem, from MacSed. He has 5 Colossi, 4 Tempests, excuse me, has even more Colossus following up with that huge Archon ball. And what does puCK have? I mean, he starts a Dark Shrine. I'm not sure this is one of those situations. I'm just not sure this is one of those situations where the Dark Shrine is going to be quite enough.
There's always a time and a place for a Dark Shrine, Athenius. When behind the Dark Shrine will be the last thing we ever said. You know, maybe like 2020 when we're done with this game. When behind, no more Dark Shrine. But up to that day, we'll try to make comebacks with Dark Templars. No matter how many cannons are on the map, no matter if your opponent has air superiority and an observer that is very well protected by those air units, also has long distance units.
Yeah, this army is not assailable in any way. puCK will go for. There's the time warp, basically saying, yeah, just hold still. Let me just finish destroying this army. So many Colossi. This ground force does not stand a chance, and puCK, not even able to get back over that hurdle of 100 supply, will lose this 3rd base. And I don't think there's anything he can do to defend against this. The Photon Overcharge will not be enough.
No, there's absolutely no way. 93 army supply against 11. Of course, he will try to warp in a bunch of DTs. Do we have any? No, actually, there are not too many cannons over here. There is about an 0.1% chance of this working. I'm not sure how he would kill the observer. Actually, he killed the observer from MacSed, but there is still the Oracle as well. However, do we really think that these 4 DTs can kill the Robo and potentially find this base as well before another Robo is wiped in over here, and that we won't see another Robo and somehow, some way, kill the Oracle? That is, where is that Oracle?
I think if this works, and he is on that robotics facility, the observer is on the way, it's halfway complete. If he was able to somehow make this work, I don't know, and he does have a forge, so he can still throw cannons anywhere, and he immediately begins them at his 3rd base.
If he makes this work, I'll do WCS America run of 16 naked, Nathaniel, I promise.
All right, well, suddenly changed my mind about this. He's building. Another great part about all of this is that he has the base on the right side. He starts his own Dark Shrine, cannons, a robotics facility. So no matter what, even if MacSed loses his economy on the left side of the map, he still has this hidden base. And puCK, he's actually starting to kill even that supply up a little bit more. But how much room does he really have to assault this force? I don't feel like there's much.
I like what he tried to do over there for a while. He tried to kill a lot of the pylons. So he's like, well, even if you're dropping a Robo somewhere out of my vision, then you will not be able to warp in another observer. He did pick off a Tempest here and there. MacSed actually lost quite a few units, I guess, aggressively because he had no detection. But it's still, he has a massive lead. He's up, 2 bases. There's still no way.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's a really cool attempt by puCK, and I feel like if he was, maybe if he didn't commit to that engagement and then just you kind of make a play like this, the Dark Templar in a normal game, this is one of those things that would win you a game if it was even.
No, definitely.
The fact that it's actually delayed the game this much with this type of attack just shows this could have been epic.
Yes, this could have been disastrous for MacSed. A little bit, that was good by puCK. He sniped the Observer somewhere in between. There is still the Oracle as well. I'm not sure if MacSed is aware of this. Now the Oracle is still idling over here. It would be really funny if he would have lost this game and then he doesn't realize that he has an Oracle.
Yeah, where has it been hiding is the real question. It's like full energy.
Oh,
it is coming back just now. Yeah, it's finally returning home.
It's like, guys, I can see. I found my binoculars. And I'm going to spot some invisible man for you guys.
Yeah. That Oracle was on its own for so long, it found itself, too.
Yeah, he did some real soul finding over there. He's been
this army from MacSed still looks pretty scary. puCK has reclaimed his third base, but there's not really any resources in the main. The natural is running quite dry, and at the end of the day, MacSed still has a ton of money left at this southeast base.
Yep. Army supply is sort of close right now, but still the Colossus are heavily in favor. I am a little bit worried right now. If MacSed somehow, some way takes the most atrocious fight of all time, which I still do not think is ever possible. With he only has 2 Tempests left, but even 2 Tempests represent so much damage. Does puCK have full energy on his Magic War? He does do that. He's soon to have 5 Colossus.
The greatest time warp ever could make you eat your words, but the Colossi are attacking the Nexus while puCK's full army can kill off those Archons. Now the Tempest beginning to focus fire, and this is where the difficulty comes in. You know what, puCK's Colossi count dropping a little bit faster than MacSed's, and he's trading a little bit better than I actually thought he would, but I still don't think there's enough of an answer to the Tempests.
I was sitting here with a smile on my face, but yes, the MacSed Tempest will clean up the rest of this army. These Stalkers trying to blink forward. MacSed was just too far ahead for the longest time. You know, when behind Dark Shrine did hold through once more, as it made an impossible game look possible for 0.1 second there. But eventually there was just no answer to the Tempest, and even if MacSed would have lost this fight, he still had a better economy behind all this. GG is called, and MacSed will win our first game on Alterzim Stronghold. After just a better tech choice, you know? He had that brilliant, how do you call it? When like something just like jumps in your mind?
An epiphany.
An epiphany, I guess. Like he had that second robo queued up, and then he's like, cling, and then like the light went on up there. He's like, you know, this is a pretty big map. I think dropping a fleet beacon is a pretty good thing to do.
Yeah.
And in the end, like, he played very well. He used those Phoenixes for the longest time. I think killing the Mothership Core was a really good move because, you know, time warp is so important in these PvP fights. And it would have already been a very hard fight for puCK regardless. But without a Mothership Core, then you already kind of know that this attack is not going to work anymore because you're trying to hit that window before Tempests are too much. But you also lost your Mothership Core, but then you're like, oh, I'm already halfway there. I might as well just go all out right now.
Yeah, I think it becomes a situation of a few what-ifs as well. I mean, if puCK has the Mothership Core, assume he gets 2 time warps lined up. If he slows down the army just a little bit longer, he still kills the Nexus, still loses a lot of forces, but he maintains half that force while still doing what he did, you know, even though he lost everything with the Dark Shrine and the Harass. You know, does he have enough to hold it off then? And especially that hidden base, I really feel like that had a huge impact at that point because he lost his third, but he still had the gas income to produce a lot of Archons to still get a very high tech force army. And I really feel like that's one of the difficulties. Alterzim Stronghold, if you're not paying very careful attention, those hidden bases can be very difficult to find.
No, definitely. They are hard to spot, especially when your opponent is a Stargate player and you're not. You can, of course, always hallucinate. I do feel that, like, MacSed perhaps, you know, went on like autopilot mode there for a while, and he was just like, you know, I completely crushed the army. I can just march across the map and win. Well, if that fight would have somehow been closer, then you cover your tracks a little bit better. Then you do get your defensive cannons, because normally you don't leave your base in a PvP game on a map as large as Alterzim without a single bit of detection in any of your 3 bases. You just don't do that, you know. It doesn't even have to be for DTs. It could also be for Zealots. Normally, you just don't do that. Yeah,
it's a pretty crazy circumstance when you realize your opponent does not actually have any observers to deal with that type of play. that puck made. And honestly, it's not too often you can just throw 4 DTs at your opponent and force almost the most ridiculous comeback. At least I can't think of any more ridiculous comeback than that from that kind of position. Down, I think it was something like 90 supply to 180 at some point.
Yeah, it was like 11 army supply against like 96 or something. I mean, like Huck had an awesome game against Naniwa once upon a time on Shakura's Plateau. That's a game that people will never forget. In the Home Story Cup 4, I think it was. It could have been 3, either of the two. That was a similar scenario, but I think that one wasn't even as bad as this one is. And, you know, back then that was new. That was stuff that we didn't really think about. And in this day and age, we just know so much more about that matchup. Especially these two guys, they're so good at it. So that should not be possible anymore. Unless, like, you know, it's actively scouted and set up really well. Either way, Game 2 is live, and it's going to be played on Habitation Station. puCK is going to be our blue Protoss player representing IVD Gaming, spawning on the right top side of Habitation Station.
Going for the very, very ballsy moves in that last game. And his opponent in the northwest, the red Protoss player from Invictus Gaming. It is MacSed. He's been executing his builds and making some smart decisions throughout both the series he's played so far tonight. Really strong macro play.
Yeah, he's looking good, especially in that series against Sen, that game 1 Frost. I was blown away because, you know, I've said it before, sometimes it's fun to think about if you cast 2 players and you would not be able to see their name tag, would you be able to say which players it are? Of course, you cannot be always right because not that many players have a very distinctive play style. But, you know, I would say, like, within WCS America, I would have been able to spot MacSed quite well. However, in that game, no, I would have not think that was MacSed. I would have rather said that that was Liquid Hero playing or something, you know, just so solid, so passive. Game 2, however, that had MacSed written all over it. Like, I would have guessed that was MacSed in 100 out of 100 times. But it's cool to see that he's able to switch up his playstyle, that he's able to play so rock solid. He still has the tricks. And even in PvP, he made the correct calls. For a split second, he was thinking about a double robo, and I would have been very confused, like I said as well on the broadcast. Then he changed his mind, he dropped the pilot, and a little later he dropped the fleet beacon, and that was a game-winning move.
It's a smart way to play StarCraft when you have builds planned out in your mind or a way that you like to play. But if you scout that your opponent is doing something similar or trying to have their playstyle geared in a similar way, it's never too bad of a decision to try to gain an advantage through some other way. Because if MacSed builds the second robotics facility at the time that we had seen him almost place it, all he is just behind in the Colossi count. That's it. He just has a much later second robotics facility and no real tangible advantage aside from the hidden base that he would end up taking. So it's just another credit to MacSed's ability to react to what he sees in the game as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He wouldn't just be playing the catch-up game. That's like playing Phoenix against Phoenix. If your opponent has more Phoenixes, well, you can try to keep building Chrono Boost. You can try to keep Chrono Boosting your Phoenixes out, but I can guarantee you that your opponent is doing the same on the other side of the map. And if once upon a time he has 3 and you have 1, later on he's still going to have 10 and you're going to have 8, and there's just no way around it. When PvP-wise, it's a little different because, you know, Colossus number are extremely important, but you don't want to max out on Colossus, like you want to get 8 or something. So I think maybe he would have eventually been able to stabilize, but why not try to counter something that you know is very counterable, rather than just trying to do the same thing. You know, if this is like a smaller map, if this was Yongsu, if this was Daedalus, then I can totally understand trying to hit some sort of a crazy timing with double robo. But on Alterzim, Fleet Beacon better. Especially if you had the Stargate up already.
Yeah, we have some interesting movements from MacSed's probe in the southeast. He's placed a pylon. He has a Twilight Council about halfway complete in his main base. So this could... There's some crazy potential here for maybe some hidden tech from him. Yeah, and puCK with the Stargate also has some good harassment potential, I feel.
This looks like a very dark probe that will most likely warp in a dark shrine. puCK is going to just straight up walk into this main base from MacSed. And he's going to be like, cool. I think MacSed might fake a blink research. Did he do that already? No, he did not. The Stalker is going to die. Oh, that's kind of an expensive scout over here, puCK.
He actually canceled the blink before the Stalker died, and he started the Dark Shrines. I don't know if that's something that puCK would pick up on, but he had blink going for like maybe just a couple of seconds, and if puCK looked away after that, then he certainly might think. I still think that the lack of the mobility, he can still kind of dance around the Oracle, but it is against, you know, it's a one base scenario, so how much can you really do?
MacSed has to be careful, by the way. He only has 2 Stalkers. Both of them are in the middle of the map right now. This Oracle is going to make his way across the map. I think that, oh my god, that's so well done by puCK. puCK's Mothership Core spots the Mothership Core from MacSed. MacSed is going to lose quite a few probes over here, I think, even though these two Stalkers are back in the nick of things. Yeah, that's very well done, but still, I still think that this Oracle should have a pretty good time over here. 4, 5, 6 Oracle, 4, 5, 6 probe kills guaranteed.
Yeah, the Stalkers move towards the ramp. That gives this Oracle a little bit more time, immediately picking up 5 probe kills with no trouble whatsoever. And meanwhile, puCK, he's continuing to just grind back at home. He's starting up another Oracle behind this, and this is a good position. We've seen puCK's Oracle control be pretty good in his games versus Select. 7 kills, but and this isn't bad at all. But he does have to worry about now the Dark Templar threat.
It seems like maybe that second Oracle is a defensive Oracle. Maybe he is a little worried about DTs, but I do not think that that is the case. He's even thinking about getting aggressive. How is this going to play out then? Like, his army is way stronger than the army of MacSed. He does have detection in the name of those Oracles. Does he still have the Mothership Core? You know, if MacSed just used Photon Overcharge, okay, recall's being used immediately, but where? Okay, there is an Oracle, never mind. I think puCK is okay.
Yeah, the recall, I think it was a smart move because I kind of feel like getting the 7 probe kills originally, puCK got himself a little bit of a lead anyway, so does take a few losses. He's not ahead in workers per se, but at least he's not out of the game trying to make a failed attack work.
Yeah, good recall there, because you know, sometimes you just try to win, but if MacSed would have dropped Photon Overcharge at home, like he eventually did, there's just no way that was going to work. It's a very even game right now, I would say. You know, puCK is ahead 9 workers, but the double Oracle, I don't think is that useful from this point on. He has a bunch of proxy pylons around as well, which will most likely fall. He's 3 workers behind, and MacSed already has that Twilight Council up, so you know, maybe he could get Blink, which is exactly what he's going to do. Pretty even game, I'd say, Nate.
Yeah, I'm mostly wondering now where puCK wants to go with this. He's getting a Twilight Council, I assume, to match Blink. I don't know if he wants to try to make some sort of 1 base Templar play work, but has he scouted that natural yet?
I think it's gonna...
Yeah, he has seen it, so I'm mostly wondering when puCK's going to place his Nexus. He has the probe there, okay, so puCK will be taking his expansion.
He has seen the robotics facility.
Yeah, so puCK's... what is it? Is his Twilight done? Okay, so he hasn't started Blink yet, but I agree with you there. Knowing that there's a robo facility, Dark Templar doesn't really seem like an option for puCK right now.
You'd be surprised about the mindset of these crazy Protoss players these days. He's starting his own robo now. Oracle is gonna fly into the main base once more, but we'll only get a single probe kill. Okay, actually he's gonna get 2 probe kills and is then going to die. He still has not decided. He remakes the Oracle. I do not really understand puCK's obsession with the double Oracle in PvP. I do not think it's necessarily fantastic, unless he just later on wants to ignore Photon Overcharge and fly in and pick up a few workers, but it seems like a pretty costly investment to me.
Yeah, it just wants to... It really seems like it will slow down the ability to get other tech units out as well. It's a lot of gas to spend in an Oracle.
I couldn't agree more.
puCK's pylon out in the center of the map gets found as well. MacSed steps back afterwards, though. Has he seen the one? Okay, yeah, so he knows that puCK had still a pylon in his natural. puCK will not be able to get any use out of this. Did not end up doing anything with that Twilight Council, by the way. Not even Blink from puCK. It feels a bit indecisive.
I actually have no idea. Like, I'm trying to make sense of it as well, why he got the Twilight in that phase in the game, but that didn't make sense. Maybe he saw the robo but didn't really see it up to the point where he actually checked and then he saw it, and then he's like, well, now I'm already wiping in the Twilight. I might as well let it finish. Because believe it or not, a lot of people are actually open up with Oracles and then followed up with a DT, because, you know, the last thing you expect normally after you scout Oracles is a DT follow-up. So sometimes you try to cut a few corners, just chrono boost out a bunch of probes. Stay, well, here comes that double Oracle, and oh my god, it's actually doing quite some work. Maybe this is why he's such a fan of the double Oracle.
Yeah, puCK putting those Oracles to work. He's managed to pick off 21 probes so far this game. MacSed's really been hammering them out, though. He's been putting out tons of probes himself. The worker count is still pretty darn close.
And he still has slightly better tech, I think, as well. I mean, the first Colossus is more than halfway done. He's researching extended thermal lens. Right now, down 2 workers, but you know, this might be the type of a game where he will be able to make something work with a Colossus push. However, puCK once more picking off a few workers. Right now, has killed 24 probes throughout the entire game. Creates a 4-worker lead for himself. This is a very hard ramp to attack up on, so maybe MacSed should just go up to 3 bases.
It's a difficult situation because puCK's robotics facility is just broken that halfway point. He doesn't have any real opportunity to get out, at least match his opponent's Colossi count that easily. MacSed just barely supply blocked. He had another Colossus queued up to go for a second one, but it hasn't yet started in production, so that's at least one nice thing for puCK. He'll have a little bit more time, but puCK's still playing defensively now, getting the cannons up as well, and just kind of moving forward here. I guess he's just going to play with later Colossi.
He's playing, yeah, but he will have double robo before MacSed. Like, MacSed is going to be on the single robo. MacSed drops that third Nexus, and once more, I'm very happy to see this. It's very easy for me to sit here and see the entire map and think and like just say what I think would be the best play. But MacSed is very often making the correct play, and that is super impressive because he has to scout for it. He has to do all these things at home, build the probes, get the infrastructure, worry about the annoying oracles that are flying around non-stop, killing his workers, and he's still analyzing the state of the game pretty well. He's going to put on some fake aggression as well, but behind this, he does have these 3 bases.
Yeah, that Oracle tries to move into the main base and will immediately get attacked by these Stalkers. It's pretty good awareness and reaction time from MacSed, but still able to kill a few more probes. And this army's trying to pressure the natural. I feel like the 2 Immortals, there's no Immortals in the composition for MacSed. I feel like those 2 are that Colossus, even with the range upgrade, since there's not too much to buffer for them. So we'll force him back for now. But the second Colossus is here, and it's starting to look a little bit more scary. puCK's first Colossus is just about to finish, but he does not have range.
He might just like, MacSed might just want to kite for a little bit, maybe even drop an awesome time warp. I do not think he has to go all out crazy on this potential fight. If you look at the production tab, second robo on the way, Templar Archives on the way, +2 being researched, cannons going up. That's not a production tab of a player who wants to just commit and straight up win the game. This was a push by MacSed to scare his opponent a little bit. If he could have done some work with maybe Force Fields or Colossus, sure, that would have been awesome, fantastic, great news, but not a commitment in any way.
Yeah, a little bit more of a gut check than a push, making sure that puCK isn't trying to do too much this early phase. +2 attack is going to finish first for MacSed. puCK has his following up shortly behind. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to bring any push with that. And with this second robotics facility, MacSed still producing just 1 Colossus. He's adding on a reasonable number of gateways, but I always think it's interesting because you'd mentioned this in the last game, and it had a big impact on the engagements, the switch into something other than Colossi, utilizing the Tempests. I'm wondering how much use these robotics facilities are going to get from both players. puCK seems to have still been chrono boosting pretty heavily on both of them, still putting out, is utilizing the production capabilities of both of them to either get the Observer or the Colossus out, but when will one of them switch away?
Yeah, it's hard. I think both of them are kind of afraid to switch out of it because Habitation Station is a lot smaller than Alterzim, so it's a lot easier to march across the map on that moment where your opponent is investing in that Stargate or second Stargate and Fleet Beacon, because that is a crazy amount of gas. That is basically, you know, the difference between 3 or 4 Archons, and on Alterzim, that will be, you know, evened out by the time that it takes for you to run across the map. On a map like Habitation Station, that is simply not the case. puCK's army is looking kind of scary, but I do not think it's that scary that he can commit to an attack either. I do not think that either player wants to go for Tempest up to before they're around like 180 supply. Like, that's about the time in the game where you can still get that supply out in case you really need it. But even if you can just get 1 Tempest out, then it's already safe. But if you would like drop another Stargate right now, if you're puCK, or you drop your first Stargate and then a Fleet Beacon, it just takes a very long time. And I think right now MacSed realizing, especially with how active puCK has been scouting, is like, there's no way that I can get away with it in this phase in the game when I have to wait A for the Stargate and B for the Fleet Beacon and then C for the Tempest. That's a lot of time.
Yeah, it's really just being forced into a big macro play. A DT was thrown at puCK's third base. It's actually barely able to catch it with a Zealot that he warped in. Thanks to that charge upgrade. But neither player can really attack each other. puCK tried to move his army across the map. The hallucinated Phoenix saw that. There's not much opportunity. And a Zealot's warped in from MacSed. puCK starts a 4th Nexus. So MacSed could scout this, but it actually looks like it's headed towards the top side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's gonna be tricky. I think soon we'll enter the phase in the game as well where both players will start throwing away a few units here and there, because right now they're still on these pretty heavy, Zealot-heavy compositions. DTs are from MacSed are being annoying. One of them will get picked off. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see MacSed send like 10 Zealots to the natural soon. Maybe wipe in a few Zealots there as well to at least create 2 problems at once. Hopefully one of the Zealots hit squads will be able to do some damage. But, you know, now is actually a phase where I would throw away a few Zealots and start looking into those juicy Tempests. Because they look a lot more attractive than they did 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, certainly the gas value of the armies becomes a really big part of this, and MacSed is the first player to start getting a little bit more of an edge in that. The Zealots, I mean, they kind of die to everything, really. The Colossi and the Archons toward the later phase of the game, so switching those units out is good. And this is a great way to do that. He's building 2 War Prisms with these robotics facilities. I guess it's a good way to throw the Zealots at your opponent and also really stress the multitasking in terms of how much you want to commit, because I always feel like War Prism harass and PvP can turn into this awkward seesaw of who's willing to warp in more to defend, and being attacked at 2 locations at once can also stress the number of gateways you have.
Yep, and but of course the more Zealots you have on the other side of the map, that also means the less is with your army. There is a chance at the moment that this first big warp in happens, I would have really loved to see MacSed pick up Zealots at home rather than warping in more Zealots. But there is a chance at the moment that puCK, especially because he's maxed out right now, and it's so annoying to deal with a War Prism by the time that, like, if you're maxed out, it's like one of the most frustrating things in the world. Are you really going to run all the way back to defend against War Prism Res, or are you just going to take this fight that you kind of wanted to take anyway because you think you're going to win it?
Yeah, well, puCK wants to throw away those Zealots so you can start warping in other units, and they get a little grazing. There are 2 photon cannons here, actually a couple in this, in both the main and the natural, from the defense against the. Oh, I love that he tries to build pylons around this cannon. Does not manage to place the last one to keep the Zealots away, but he had these set up from the Dark Templar play earlier on. The Zealots still managed to get in, deal a lot of damage, and MacSed actually brings 2 DTs into the main base of puCK at the same time. puCK, his army's getting into a huge fight. He picks up the Time Warp on that force, kills the Mothership Core, and what a choke point to have your army funneled into.
Yeah, that is like the Sophie engagement ramp from MLG Game Ons. No, MacSed, like, sure, you got a couple of good shots up at first, but don't tell me that you're going to funnel through that ramp. There's just no way. You're doing fine on the other side of the map. Your DTs are doing a lot of damage. Of course, standing down this ramp is fine, because then you're kind of tempting your opponent to walk down that ramp. puCK is up a base, but he's taking so much damage in his main.
Yeah, this is quite the large battle coming in, and the Colossi are trying to get into a good spot. There's so many Colossi for both sides. Just one lead here.
I think puCK is throwing pretty hard right now. He lost all of his Immortals because of a brilliant Zealot warp in over here from the south side, and now these Colossus are so naked from puCK. However, puCK is still microing pretty well. He has better armor upgrades. I thought at least he had 3. No, actually, MacSed is the one with 3-1.
There's so many units in his main base. These Dark Templar and Zealots have gone to town. The Cybernetics core was destroyed. He's picked off the main base Nexus, and there's still a little bit of resources left to have been gathered there. The Immortals are coming out. Unpower is one of those robotics facilities, and those Immortals, as you said, pretty important units to have in the army at this stage of the game.
Yeah, MacSed was like up 30 supply, but puCK didn't spend all of his money. puCK does have that fort base.
Yeah.
Once more, what a brilliant Zealot warping over here from the south side by MacSed, because these Immortals, they all went through this little ramp. It looked really awkward because the Colossus were just like in a line as well. That pylon couldn't have been in a better place. Of course, that was the very first pylon pretty much that MacSed threw down, so it was not like this brilliant 25-minute Zealot warp-in timing, but he definitely utilized that very well.
Yeah, this game's taking an interesting position because, as you said, as we saw, that fight went so well for MacSed, but puCK having that 4th base economy, I'm kind of wondering where, what MacSed's been thinking about as far as taking that base. He just now plants it. Is there an opportunity for puCK with his economy to deny this 4th or do anything to punish it?
Well, we just saw how hard it is to attack up to this high ground. What this might be possible is that puCK will be able to swing around from the south side and be able to shoot at this mineral line as soon as it starts running. I don't know, it's hard. I wouldn't mind seeing puCK do the same thing as MacSed has been doing on the other side of the map, even though MacSed has some cannons in excellent positions, but still, no amount of cannons will protect you against, like, how many gates do we have over here? Oh great, it's the only thing I can see. Actually, 12 gates for puCK, 12 gates.
Yeah, both players sitting happily at 12 warp gates. puCK's pylon on the map, you can clean it by DTs. He finally finds that Dark Shrine, that pesky Dark Shrine at the bottom of the map. So that tech path has been, he's crossed it off. And puCK taking a 5th base, that War Prism coming back in towards the main. There are a few photon cannons here, though, to help defend against this. He actually bypasses the Sim City that was blocking the Zealot away. and drops it straight in there, but it is cleaned up without too much trouble.
Good. I really like this base by puCK right now. It was kind of created out of an emergency, I guess, but this is a very well created base. Cannons are very well protected. Multiple pylons powering all these gates, making it hard for DTs and Zealots to funnel through one way or the other. It's a good looking base.
Yeah,
I approve of that base.
It is a nice base. MacSed wants to attack the potentially nicer 5th, as that economy would be very nice for puCK. And puCK's army suddenly looks, you know, you almost wouldn't even be able to tell he took such a bad trade. His Warp Prism's trying to hit the 4th base of MacSed at this time, and there it is, the Zealot Warp in Frenzy, just enough to defend from MacSed. He does have 2 cannons as well.
I like, puCK seems to just not like, does he still have this target? He still has it. Like, I really feel that he should be dropping a Fleet Beacon in this phase in the game, and like Fleet Beacons are also awesome in like shooting down these freaking Warp Prisms because they are so annoying, but next time they fly in, you just have like 3 Tempests shooting away from downtown.
Yeah,
knocking 3 downs like it's summertime in the gym, Nate.
Like it's summertime.
Yeah.
puCK's rebuilt his Twilight Council. This 5th base, though, is... Well, he's in no position to defend this. I don't see any way that he holds on to this. He is going to try to maneuver down the ramp. I feel a bit of a brazen move. He has a lot of Colossi in the back that are not able to fire. The Immortals are up front, soaking those shots up. And MacSed he was able to get the first couple of shots off for this fight, but now he's the one being chased back as the rest of the Archons and Immortals show up. That earlier economy from the 4th base, really nice for puCK. And I love seeing this. He's got 4 observers trailing this army. He's making sure he keeps an eye on it and that there's no weird swing around those. What a great position for the Colossi.
Yes, oh my god, all of the Colossus are down for MacSed before most of these Zealots are here, and now these Colossus should be able to clean this up. Wow, MacSed, if you would have used that Warp Prism 10 seconds ago, you would have killed all of these Colossus. You would have won this battle with 4 Colossus left. You know, that was a bizarre fight, Nate. That was really weird to call because there was almost no way for puCK to save that base. Then he went over here from the north side. First, his Colossus were not attacking at all, but then eventually his Immortals were in a really good position. And MacSed just didn't reinforce. For the longest time, he did not reinforce. While he had that Warp Prism there, I guess he just kind of missed it. It was a hard fight to manage, I guess. And now, like, how are you going to catch up? The only good thing for MacSed is if he's somehow able to survive, if he somehow can get the gas out for enough Colossus, you know, these Colossus from puCK are also weak. They're going to melt, but I do not think that MacSed is going to give him that time.
And he's trying to use the Warp Prism to drop Zealots on top of the Colossi, but puCK stepping back. Well, he still has the Archons in there. So good versus these Zealots. MacSed cannot put out enough units fast enough to deal with this. The tech difference is just too significant. puCK can go towards his 4th base if he wants to. It looks like he just wants to go for the throw and just kill everything that MacSed has left in his base. MacSed punched down below 90 supply, taps out, and puCK ties our series up 1-1.
Wow, that was a pretty crazy 31-minute PvP on Habitation, which was hard to call, back and forth. Crazy Oracle uses by puCK. We'd almost forget about it, but he keeps sending in 2 Oracles at a time. Being a real nuisance, but that's kind of what PvP is all about. You want to be as annoying as possible. Basically, if your opponent thinks you're really annoying in PvP, then you're pretty good at the matchup. Then you're just doing it right. Either way, I think entertaining game. MacSed, I think, was in a very good position for a while. I think they have Warp Prism harassment in the main was good. puCK taking that fort was definitely a good choice in the long run, even when he lost it once. Just a fun PvP, a lot of things to analyze. I'm still surprised that like puCK, no matter how far ahead he seems to be, just doesn't want to go into Tempest, and I do worry about that because that could be a weakness.
Yeah, it was interesting to see the way that puCK kind of decided his tech choices, and it feels weird because I'd kind of thought about this, about the Alterzim Stronghold game. What if they were on even bases? What if there wasn't the hidden base? And in this map, what if puCK didn't have that 4th base? You take that fight at that ramp that we've been talking about, that choke point, and he lost so much. It really was... I mean, you can't look into the future and say, I'm going to need this extra economy because I'm going to get destroyed in the first time that we have a fight. But it was such a smart play for puCK to at least get that early on and just hold on to it being defensive, even if, and you know what, that was it was an advantage that allowed him to survive one mistake, and that was all he needed.
I still wonder, like, that final fight was a very cool fight because it was hard to call at first. You know, it was just like this the other day, someone, I forgot who it was, but it was during the Seed Story Cup. We started laughing very hard. I think was Alterzim on the couch with me and the other person, I forgot who it was. He's like, this is a very bad engagement for both of them. And then like Alterzim just completely lost it. But in a way, it kind of was, because like MacSed's like the time warp was right on top of the Colossus, and all the units that were supposed to protect the Colossus were in the back. So in that regard, this was a bad engagement for MacSed. But at the same time, you saw all these units from puCK funnel through those little ramps, and some of these Colossus were not even shooting in the back. So it was kind of a bad engagement for him as well. But Alterzim would not agree with that. He said, no, it has to be good for someone. Just busted laughing. Either way, that was a fun game. I enjoyed it. That means that we are going to get ready for game number 3. It is going to be played on Frost. puCK versus MacSed. Will puCK make it to WCS America for the first time, or round of 16 WCS America for the first time in his career, or will MacSed just do it 3 times in a row? We're about to find out.
Yeah, this would be, you know, this game, pretty big significance for both players. MacSed wants to continue that run of getting into the round of 16, and puCK wants to break through. puCK has played some really solid games today, and I feel like this game could actually go either way. I don't feel that the strategies, the types of plays they've been doing, are as map dependent that it will necessarily change on this map. It's a 4-player map, of course, so the scouting becomes a little bit different, but I feel like we didn't even see any weird abuse of Alterzim Stronghold. Might have very similar playstyles come out.
Yeah, since puCK has shown us his love for Oracles and Habitation Station, you might think like, oh, we might see it again on Frost, but MacSed also showed us that he's willing to be aggressive on a map that you don't normally expect aggression, because Alterzim, you know, he opened up 3 gate, 1 gas for the longest time. Definitely rolled the dice a little bit, but it wasn't an overcommitment, because if anything, puCK was like overly committing to his defense, which allowed MacSed to just be completely okay with transitioning out of it. Either way, I'm going to let the players know that we are ready. puCK seems to be almost ready. MacSed is definitely ready. Most of the time we're waiting on me, so I was already worried. I was like, I'm doing it again, Nathan.
It's all good. Everything is all good, Roddy. This game, I want to ask, what do you feel? What is your favorite way to play PvP on this map? Because it feels like it's such a normally laid out map, but the main base, the layout of it, it's so small and easier to defend, I'd say, than for example, like a Yonsu with Photon Overcharge. Can you be more greedy on this map?
Well, I'm giving away a lot of my potential ladder points right now, Nate. I hope you understand that. But my favorite way to play on Frost would probably be 1 gate Stargate. Like, it is safe enough to defend against pretty much everything. It is hard to defend against Blink Stalkers, but definitely not impossible. You can still get Immortals out, and there will definitely be this small moment where it's like, oh, if they suicide Blink up the ramp right now, it's going to be really dicey. But, you know, most of the time you will be able to hold. It's a straight up default win against an Oracle opening, which is so popular on this map. And you can expand behind it if it's like Phoenix against Phoenix, or if they open up Blink Stalker and then you defend, you expand behind it. But if they go 1 gate fast expand, which is also a popular build, in my opinion, if you go 1 gate Phoenix, you can just drop 3 gates behind it, and you know, with your first 2 or 3 Phoenixes, you force out 1 Photon Overcharge, because every Protoss will always cast Photon Overcharge, otherwise the Mothership Core dies, and then you follow it up with more Phoenixes and just 4 gateway, and I think it's a default win. So overall, I feel Phoenix is good. It has a few weaknesses, but not too many. But Blink Stalker is also good on this map. I think the 1 gate Robo, which was popular for a while, is good, but it's definitely susceptible, and I think you're taking some risk.
Yeah, I like. I guess it makes a lot of sense, especially the 1 gate Expo. It's probably more common on this map than I feel some of the other maps like Yonsu. But we're just about loaded in. We have everybody ready to go for Frost, and this is an exciting. This has got to be an exciting game for puCK.
Yeah,
but as legend would have it, for them to play again, it won't. They can't. They can only play once in this match. So. No double games between these players.
This is basically the final game of a best-of-9 spread out over 6 months between puCK and MacSed. puCK is representing IVD Gaming, being our red Protoss player, spawning on the left top side of Frost. And Nate, who is he going up against?
He is playing our blue Protoss player in the northeast from Invictus Gaming, MacSed, who has brought us some good macro play. We maybe expected a bit more aggression. Not to say, of course, that he wouldn't try. We did mention earlier on Alterzim Stronghold of all maps, opening with the 10 supply gateway. Very aggressive.
Yeah, the MacSed went a little crazy on Alterzim. This time, however, we can see it's opening up with a Chrono Boost over here. So nothing too crazy just yet. It's hard to predict. Like there's just so many viable strategies on Frost, so I'm not gonna risk myself with any predictions, especially after watching the GSL yesterday and the All Protoss group. It just shows that it's like so hard to predict some of the playstyles every now and then. I do feel that some of these top Korean Protosses in general cheese a little more than some of the foreigners, and that might sound crazy, but that cheese is just so good, and they often know each other so well. They really prepare for games, so they're like, hey, this guy doesn't scout there and there, so I can basically cheese there and there, and I feel that's a little perhaps more advanced than how some of these guys prepare for a series. They'll just like, oh, I'm going to have to play some PvPs, I'm going to prepare really well, and they might do some research on the players, but it is interesting that some of these Korean Protoss players, where you normally expect them to be more solid, actually cheese more often.
Yeah, it's especially in PvP, as you said, the difficulty that you can have scouting, or if you don't scout certain areas, it's one of those things that you would look for actually if you were trying to study an opponent in looking at VODs, etc. Where do they send that probe? And MacSed has sent an extra probe to his right side.
Yeah, this might seem like a small thing, but it's actually pretty large right now. As we can see, only 10 probes in this phase in the game on minerals. That means that you really don't mine all that much. This is definitely like, it looks a lot like a tech build. I'd probably say Stargate, but I could be completely wrong. But this looks like a one-gate Stargate build to me, or maybe Twilight. Either way, you don't have a whole lot of probes in your minerals right now. So this is a lot more significant than, let's say you're on 55 probes spread over 3 bases, and then you have 4 out of 3. Then it doesn't really hurt you. You know, it's going to hurt you like a few minerals here and there, but you have a ridiculous income. This time, however, it's completely different. And maybe, just maybe, MacSed has been watching the GSL yesterday, because proxying over here, I would not be surprised at all to see a double Oracle into Void Ray.
This looks pretty crazy. Well, you said it. He has a Stargate on the way. And puCK did a little bit of diligent scouting. He was not able to find his opponent in the earliest phase, though, and he's not even moving the probe back up there. So he does not know about this. No inkling whatsoever. Mothership Core is out. He has a Stalker, but puCK himself has actually not placed any further tech, just 2 gateways. And now moving up to 3 Stalkers. I feel like playing the double gateway, like heavy Stalker count, if you can recognize what's coming fast enough, it's a little bit easier to defend against the fast Stargate play.
puCK, is he going to scout it? Yeah, I think, no, he's not. Oh my god. He is so close, but he is not going to see it. And he will have the own Stargate in his main base. Well, this is just a mirror image of the game that I just watched earlier, which I believe was between Classic and Rain, but I could be mistaken, where Classic cheesed my favorite Protoss player, but then, never mind. Either way, I think it's going to be that double Oracle opening. It's a really sick build over here that MacSed might use, because, you know, he's taking a big risk. He didn't even scout. He's just like, hey, if I build my Stargate here, I have a 33 or a 66% chance that it's on the right side of the map. And it was. And it actually was like the absolute best case scenario. But how's MacSed going to follow this up? There's no second. Okay, it's going to be another Oracle. It's the exact same build.
And puCK's Stalkers immediately shove this Oracle back, so nothing done there. Took a little bit of HP damage, but the Mothership Core for puCK will be forced back. As MacSed has, you know, he has enough energy for his own Photon Overcharge. He's moving right up to 3 gateways, and with 2 Stalkers there, I don't think puCK's Oracle could really do too much either.
Wow, MacSed took so much damage over here on this Oracle. That's a little silly. And now actually MacSed is going to follow it up with Phoenixes. Perhaps after seeing that this Stalker count is a little too high and his first Oracle just didn't really do a whole lot of damage. He didn't want to continue with it, because he did have a second Oracle queued up, guys, but then he cancelled it. And now it's going to be a Phoenix War instead. It's really awkward, though, to start building Phoenixes with the potential of you losing your Stargate, because how is he going to, like, this Stargate will be found eventually. Maybe he just wanted to make a single Phoenix. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. He just wants to get 1 Phoenix out to kill his Oracle, and after that, I guess he's going to neglect this Stargate.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to at least scout around with the Phoenix as well. And puCK's Oracle gets tagged by the Phoenix. This will not be able to do too much more. Stalkers come up to finish it off. Gets a Revelation, gets something.
Yeah, I've seen better Oracles.
MacSed's Twilight Council is finishing up. I wouldn't be surprised to see anything other than Blink, so there it is. And a Forge and a Robotics facility for puCK, playing a little bit closer to that potential Colossus style that we've seen quite a bit out of him. And we haven't seen in neither of the games. Both players went for Colossus as the first real tech choice. No early Archon-based plays or anything like that.
It's so nice for puCK that it was like a double gate Stargate, puCK playing it rather safely in game 3. Because if this was a single gate into a Stargate, he wouldn't have 3 Stalkers there just yet. And then that double Oracle build with the potential Void Ray follow-up would have been very, very scary and very hard to deal with. But with 2 gateways, you just have a few additional units out on the map. He did a fantastic job in positioning his Stalkers in the right place and just took like 0 damage from that first Oracle. So
MacSed is moving out with quite a few units over here towards puCK's base. puCK had to use a Photon Overcharge to defend against the Phoenix earlier with his Mothership Core, but he has enough energy for another one. The Hallucinated Phoenix Scout is coming in, but this army is very aggressively postured for MacSed.
Blink being researched as well. There will be an observer from puCK being parked above this army. There is no Robo on the map for MacSed, correct? MacSed definitely playing with fire here a little bit, but he has been scouting very actively. There is an Oracle right now heading to his main. Has quite a bit of energy. If this Oracle... Okay, yeah, there is a... never mind. This time he did keep something at home. And it will be the Mothership Core.
Yeah, still managed to pick off a few probes and procs that Photon Overcharge at puCK's base. Using that Revelation to keep an eye on that army. So puCK's Oracle went in, got just about 4 probes. Nothing crazy. The Blink upgrade has completed researching for MacSed though, and now his army, he has the upgrades, and I feel like he could potentially do some damage once the Photon Overcharge wears off. puCK actually starting a Void Ray and an Immortal to help defend against this.
Force fields are so important right now. Maybe puCK is even going to try to drop some force fields, but MacSed, you know, once more, this time it's MacSed's window that's shrinking a little bit. With 1 Immortal, it's already going to be so much easier for puCK to defend. With 2 Immortals and a Void Ray, I'm not even sure how to still break this with Blink Stalkers. I guess where there is a will, there's always a way. If his force fields are good enough, but so far the force fields are quite okay for puCK as well. Maybe that 1 Immortal can get trapped. Yeah, MacSed needs to kill the Immortal, Nate.
Yeah, I feel like puCK's done a reasonable job of pulling some of these forces back, but he's actually fighting with the probes now as well, recognizing the threat of this assault from MacSed, and that Immortal has actually not even managed to get any kills yet.
Wow.
There's just so much here from MacSed, and blinking these weakened Stalkers back manages to take this Immortal out. 0 kills on it, and puCK will kill some of these Stalkers, but he's lost everything trying to defend this.
That was really bizarre how that played out. MacSed made that look easy. Well, it's not supposed to be that easy at all. There will be a Neo Immortal. There will be a Void Ray this time as well. There is also an Oracle in the mix over here, or in a Phoenix. This time, finally, a few Blink Stalkers will fall, but puCK has lost so many probes that MacSed will again qualify for WCS America round of 16. That's the 3rd time in a row that he's done it. And it's also the 3rd time in a row that puCK is only 1 map win away from qualifying for WCS America round of 16. But there's still hope for him, as we will see him later today.
Yeah, he will go up against the winner of our next game, the losers match for our group, which is going to be a Terran versus Zerg between Select and Sen. We're getting a nice bit of matchup variety so far today.
Yeah, we're getting pretty much everything, even though no mirrors between the Zergs and the Terrans, but we get a TVZ, so everyone's happy. We got some Terran action, some Zerg action, and we even had a PvP if you guys didn't have enough PvP yet. Either way, good series by MacSed. MacSed showing us that he became much more of a versatile player, I would say, than he was 6 to 8 months ago. I felt back then he had strong builds, but once people were able to read him, I felt that you were kind of able to deal with him. He seems a whole lot better right now, and you know, MacSed might actually be coming into WCS America round of 16 as one of the scariest players that we're going to have. Because, I mean, let's not forget, guys, this might be an old story, but MacSed is a Chinese Protoss player. He's playing from China on the North American server against one of the best Protoss players on the North American server. That's hard, Nathan. That's hard.
Trying to make those blinks to avoid those Immortal shots like, with the delay playing from the Chinese server.
That final attack still actually made no sense to me. Like, I knew that he had potential to break it, but with that 1 Immortal, and I felt Photon Overcharge to be ready soon, there were a few Zealots to buy time. I really thought that, you know, if the 2nd Immortal joins in the final, then I think that puCK would have stabilized, maybe with the Void Ray as well.
The Void Ray wasn't there either.
And then he's so far ahead, because he's like 12 workers ahead, and then that Blink tag is not going to be all that useful anymore, but MacSed just wrecked that battle. It's really impressive. I'm actually going to watch that again later, because, you know, whenever I try to do that kind of stuff, I'm like, horrible blinks, I have to force field away all the time, force fields go down or blink away. Either way, great series, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was a pretty solid play. I actually really enjoyed it from both sides. Players played very similar play styles, but it was cool to watch.
For now, we're going to head over to a very small commercial break, guys. Just a couple of minutes for us to drink some water and for you guys to maybe grab some chips, because it's time for the only TVC that you are going to see today. And it's time for the second last best of 3 in WCS America, round of 32. In our first season here in 2014, our next match is going to be Select versus Sen. Should be awesome. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.